as they would say in the political language of Nigeria, the caliber of the people that work in the Ivy League Oxford Brookes faculty. So I'll be moving on to what we offer, what we do, and how we do it, and the people that do it. So we pride ourselves to say that in the faculty we have a very rich faculty of seasoned mentors. We have people that have been mentoring for a very long time. Quite a number of us also, obtained the BSc in Applied Accounting. That makes it a plus for you. When you have gone through the path, it's easier to lead people on that path as well. We have quite a number of people in Nigeria or institutions in Nigeria that offer this mentoring service, but not I've been around in this in this part for a while, and not a lot of them do an induction day. Why do we do an induction day? It's just to create awareness for you to know exactly what it entails and what you would have to do to obtain this BSc. So we take time to ensure that you are well informed and that you can make informed decision. So that's what we pride ourselves at. We have dedicated mentors. So according to the Oxford Brookes guidelines, one mentor can actually mentor like 100 mentees. But what we do in the Ivy League faculty is that we ensure that we have we know the topics that we have in the OBU pack, and so we segment it, and we stratify it, so to say, and then we give people that are industry experts in those fields, to mentor people in that line. So it then helps to ensure that the quality of the work that you're given, is rich, and you can add immense value and then obtain a good success. We've had a number of people that have had first class in their projects. We've had people that, of course, had a first upper, and all the way down, of course, we've had people that have failed as well. But yes, the success rate in Ivy League is way more than the failure rate, and it's the dedicated mentorship. Always creates and serves as a difference. We have an active. Is someone trying to talk so that we do not distract this session? Is there a question? Okay. All right. So we have uh, a very active um, pool of we have when we have our mentees registered, we create an environment for them, so to say, where everyone can go in and actively communicate with themselves, mentor to mentor, mentee to mentee, irrespective of the fact that we will have assigned you someone to work with you. We would also ensure that you are part of an environment so that you can learn from other people that are carrying out or this research work as you are doing, and also from other mentors that may not necessarily be assigned to you. So there is that holistic view that you're able to see because you're working with everyone. When everyone is asking a question, it is dropped in that WhatsApp group. So that's what we call a community. We create a community where everyone participates, and then, people that are of like mind. It really doesn't matter the topic they're doing part time. All that matters is that you people are together and you are actively ensuring that you work together to achieve success. It's usually a period of 3 months. It starts at about today when we start this induction day, and then we journey for 3 months intensive. I'll get to the criteria and the things that you need to know and things that you need to do to ensure that you are successful in a jiffy. What we also do, we do chapter by chapter review. So there are 3 chapters in the OBU project, or in the RAP, they call it research analysis project. So there are 3 chapters: chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. So when you're done with your chapter 1, you have an engagement with your mentor, you review, it gives feedback. I should note at this point, there is a clear mentor-mentee relationship, and there is a code for the mentors as documented in the information pack. So we do not write projects for our mentees in Ivy League. We only challenge their thought process and help them to be better. I should say at this point that the Oxford Brookes offering allows a doctor to even be a mentor, provided the person meets all the criteria of being a mentor, registered, haven't gone through all the requirements. The person is fit, right, to be a mentor. However, in Ivy League, we have a plus because, everybody in the faculty is a seasoned person in their own right. And most of us, about 80% of the faculty, also lecture. So it helps us and it gives us, and then of course we're accountants, we're finance people, it gives us that leverage, it gives us that, and it helps your project, of course, to be a good one. We also have a day that is dedicated to OBU presentation. So today is OBU induction day. We have another day that is called OBU presentation. As I go into the slide and the details of what is required, you would understand what the presentation day is all about. The presentation day is the day where you come and present the summary of everything you have done in your project to obtain your BSc in Applied Accounting. So you present the summary. It's actually a requirement because when your project is being marked, they do sample review, and then they could reach out to the mentors institution to confirm whether indeed you had this presentation. And indeed, as part of your submissions, you're also supposed to submit the OBU presentation, whatever you have presented to your mentor that day. You're supposed to submit it alongside your other submission to obtain that BSc. So you can imagine that what we also do, we don't even allow you do it only with your mentors, with your single dedicated mentor. You do it with the pool of mentors. I've had a lot of instances, people maybe would have failed their project, but for the silent comments of someone in the group, it could even be a mentee, it could be the mentor, that provides a context that I always say that because it's a global world, right? That's something that you have chosen to analyze. A lot of people, if you are submitting it to the school, a lot of people will write that same project. I remember there was one diet, we were in the presentation, OBU presentation day, and then there were two people that were working on exactly the same projects that they did not even know. Of course, they had different mentors assigned to them. And because we were coming together to review the numbers, they both were, presenting their offerings, and, their numbers were not aligned. One person would say that this is growing in this line, the other person would say it's declining. I'm like, okay, so who is correct? We eventually discovered that, one person was correct while the other person may have not done a thorough work. So what did we do? We had to help the other person enhance. Okay, so this is the factual representation of this company. Now, this is just the Ivy League school itself. You are seeing two people writing exactly the same project. What about if you were to submit generally? And I always like to say that the people that review the OBU projects, they are seasoned lecturers and mentors in their rights, and this is all they do. Like, they are lecturers, they sit down and review. So you can imagine. And then most of the companies that you would be reviewing, if it's a publicly listed company, this information is available online, and then they can actually research and get to know these companies for themselves. And if you have not done a thorough work, then of course is the reason why people fail. So we have that day dedicated to reviewing. There's something that is very important to the OBU offering, and it is the fact that they do not want you to use the work of another person without adequately referencing it. And that's why you need to do a plagiarism check. Your plagiarism check, there is a recommended software for plagiarism check in the OBU score, and it's called Etiquette. I remember also one of the submission rounds, we had a mentee that decided that I don't want to waste my money. Etiquette is another $1,000. Where do I get that from? So he decided that he wanted to take his project, to free online plagiarism checkers. So carried the project, put it on a free plagiarism checker. Of course, the thing checked, and it was fine, and he submitted, and it was referred to academic committee as someone that had cheated. When we saw it, of course we warned. Of course, you don't forget that our whole role is to guide you appropriately, tell you the things that will not be good for you, and of course your decision is to decide what exactly you want to do, because that time you decided that, okay, I'll face the consequences, whatever it will be. And it was referred to academic committee. I'm sure that nobody on this call would like to be referred to the academic committee, because it then means that you're charged for maybe copying the work of another person and all. And what happened in this case, the software that he had used for his project, recorded it as the fact that, of course, it was someone else's work. So when they ran the project on Turnitin, it was exactly the same, because it was already recorded in a software. And Turnitin, is linked to a lot of all this free and even paid plagiarism check. So if you run your work, but what they do in the OBU offerings when they're reviewing your paper is that they exclude that the plagiarism checker that they've given to you, which is ITKate. So whatever you run on ITKate, when they are reviewing totally on Turnitin, it is removed. I'll get to the details of that when I get to the presentation. What we also do is, when you and your mentor, you are done with your project and you've achieved, you're done from chapter 1 to chapter 3, you've done the wrap, you've done the SLS, we'll go into what SLS means as well. You have done your presentation, everything is already fine. In Ivy League, the plus we also give to you is there is a reviewer, an independent reviewer, who did not work with you all through the project's life, that would then review and even critique the work that you and your mentor has done, just to ensure that there is immense value that is given to you at the end of the day. So those are the things that we pride ourselves in, and we do very differently. So just to quickly introduce the people, that will be your likely mentors if you decide to come on board with us. My humble self, Adis Solutari. We have Oladimeji Olajiton. We have Omolola Fashesi. We have Jonathan Ikiolumba. We have Olakito Abib. I'll read their profiles so that you know them. And then we have Muidin Akpeno. This is what the faculty of the OBU looks like in Ivy League. So I'll just quickly run through their profiles so you know who they are. And then, of course, if you decide to be a part of this, you would be working with any of these people that you have here. My humble self here, I wouldn't bother reading my profile. It's okay, you can check it up. I'll read other people's profiles so quickly. So Omolola is a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. She holds an MBA from Alliance Manchester University, University of Manchester. She's a seasoned banker. She has wide experience in finance, risk management, sustainability. So all the projects that are aligned to anything that you're reviewing on finance, on sustainability, on risk management, be sure to have Omolola as your mentor. Of course, we'll do the review of the topics you've chosen, and then we would assign as the case may be. I have Oladimeji Olajiton, who is also a fellow of Institution of Certified Chartered Accountants, is a governance expert, is a risk person, is also a finance expert. He's worked across multiple industries, from FMCG to different parts of the finance world is worked in. He also holds an MBA from Edinburgh University, Scotland. We have Olakito Abib, who is an associate member. He is passionate about strategy, about finance. You can see already that it's a rich profile of people that are finance professionals. It does risk and compliance. Abib brings an additional input, so to say, to the team, because he's an executive coach. So somehow he's able to, bring that coach, a certified emotional intelligent coach, he's able to bring that also, to bear when he is working with his mentees. We also have Jonathan. If you are a faithful follower of the ACCA offerings, you know that Jonathan is an award winner, is a seasoned lecturer. And also he runs a consulting firm. He has over 15 years experience. He was the chief learning officer in Ivy League. I think that that role he recently handed over. So he has, when anything that has to do with strategy, and he is actually one of the tutors for the advanced business analyst paper. And anything that has to do with strategy and all, be sure that you would have Jonathan as your mentor. Finally, on the profile, we have Muideen Agbeno. Muideen is also a member of ACCA. He holds a BSc and MSc from University of Lagos. He's also a seasoned banker. He works across customer experience, finance, and risk. And he currently heads the financial management offering in Ivy League. So you can imagine that the faculty of people that will be working with you is a rich one. So that's that about the faculty. I would move on quickly to the offering of the school and what the Oxford Brookes offering is all about. Okay, moving on. What are we going to be discussing today? We'll be discussing introduction and basic information. We'll be discussing how your class of degree is determined. I know that a lot of people want to know. So what exactly will be added together? How do I ensure that I make a first class? How do I ensure that I make a second class upper, as we call it in Nigeria? All those things will be answered on the call today. We'll be looking at the structure of your project. What should they entail? What should be inside it? So your project is divided into two parts. One is called RAP. RAP means research analytics project, while the other one means skills and learning statements. Those two things, form the things that you need to submit to achieve your BSc in Applied Accounting. So as we go on, you hear me talk about RAP and SLS a lot. And so that's the reason. Then I know that you want clarity as to what project topic do you need, or what are the available range of project topics that we have in the Oxford Brookes offering, and how do I get my data? One very important thing that I always want to encourage people is, before you decide that this is the topic that I want to choose, you must read carefully the data gathering requirements. Oxford Brookes project is very, very, how will I put it now, is easy to pass. Why? Everything that the examiner wants to see, they have documented in a book called Information Pack. Typically, we don't even start to engage our mentees until they have read back to back the Information Pack. The Information Pack contains a guide, a clear guide as to what you need to do to be successful in the Oxford Brookes research project. So we will be sharing the information pack for interested parties. We would ask questions. So there are questions that we typically would ask that would help us know whether you have read that pack or otherwise. There are people that have come and say, oh, they've read the pack, and then you ask them the very basic questions in the pack and they haven't read it. So I want to encourage people on the call today, if you have decided that this is the part after you have gained knowledge today, is very important, so that from the beginning you're working with the end in mind, and then it will help you to also achieve good success. So there are topic areas and the data source. We're going to be discussing the topic areas and the data requirements. There's a difference between the source of the data and what data is required. How do I mean? It is possible that the topic that you have chosen, Oxford Brookes has clearly stated that for you to write that topic, you need internally generated information. So yes, the data source is secondary data. Could be secondary and could be primary. If it is primary, do you need access to internally generated information? If you do need access to internally generated information, then the company you have chosen, you must ensure that you know people that can help you to get information. So I remember that there was a diet there was a lady that had chosen the topic and then wanted to work for to do something on motivation, how motivation has impacted an institution. And she wanted to write that topic, and she initially thought that she would get access, and then she got midway and there was no access. She couldn't get information. And then of course she had to stop because she didn't have the full information. So knowing from the beginning the requirements and not just assuming, someone just says, oh, my brother's uncle works in that firm, so I expect that they will give me information. If it is an internal information, there are so many things that you need to be able to help the organization to know. Oh, you need to help them understand that it will be used solely for academic purpose. There are things that you need to put in place. So if you do not read the requirements of the Oxford Brookes offering itself, you may be running into some muddy waters. So we'll be looking at quality control and plagiarism. We'll be looking at the RAP structure. We'll be looking at the timeline for submission. Yes, we know that it's our desire that when people write this a project for the first time, they pass. But then, yes, we still have people that, have written it the first time and didn't pass. I wouldn't stop giving this example of a gentleman, that had joined the school like maybe 5 diets ago, and very good work, excellent presentation. He had done everything and had done his best in ensuring that that project was a success. At the point of submitting his project, of course, we weren't there at the point of submitting. We wouldn't have known that what he did is what he would do. So there is an appendix sheet that should contain the workings, or your chapter 3, which speaks to the analysis and joint conclusions of this research work. The examiner expects that is able to refer to an appendix that is a spreadsheet that shows how each of those ratios were calculated, from the income statement to the balance sheet to cash flow to any ratio that you have referenced. This gentleman, at the point of submission, value pasted, what do I mean, took off the formula on his Excel sheet and just submitted like that. And I remember reading the examiner's comment, very clear. The examiner said, and I quote, that this is a very good research work, well written and all that, with the very place. However, this project is a fail because the person did not follow the requirements in the information pack. I think that's the person that failed this project that has pained me the most, because even the examiner alluded to the fact that the work was thoroughly done. However, not following instructions, made the person fail. Why did I give that example? Because of number 10 on my screen that talks about resubmission rules. Once you have submitted this project once, if you're resubmitting, you are limited to a C. You can't get anything higher than a C again if you're resubmitting, and you can only resubmit 3 times. So you need to look at all those things. After we'll get to the cost, and you see, of course, if you live in Nigeria, even if you live outside Nigeria, right? It's not like we just want to, dash Oxford Brookes our money. We want to ensure that there's value for money if you're paying that much. So you don't want to write it, fail, and then write it again, and then you're restricted to a C. I know people, of course, this guy that I told you about, resubmitted. All he did at his resubmission was to update the formulas on his appendix, and of course, he was given a C. Just maybe that project will have been an A or a B, given the examiner's comments. But the person didn't pass because of not following instructions. So I would enjoy everyone to please ensure that you are attentive to instruction. There's one last thing that I would like to stress before I go into the full details, is referencing, and we'll go into it. Referencing. People are, when you hear me talk about academic committee or academic group, that people are referred there, it's like referring people to EFCC. It's once you do not reference the work of another person appropriately, it is seen as cheating. And you can imagine, I've seen people that have being referred to academic committee, and I promise you, is not a nice experience, both for the mentee and the mentor, right? Because you would then need support at that point. Why we should have moved on to someone else probably reviewing another person's work, who are then trying to help you support. And a lot of times, have I seen anybody that has been referred to the academic committee that was discharged and acquitted? Yes. But the whoever will, the rate at which what will I call it now? The failure rate is more than the success rate, right? So I just want to implore everyone to ensure that we get this right from the start. So looking at the basic information about Oxford Brookes, we know it's an alliance, and I already said it, that this collaboration is going to come to an end very soon. By May 2026, you'll be unable to obtain BSc in Applied Accounting with ACCA any longer. That alliance is being severed, not because of anything that ACCA has done, but because the program has decided that they wanted to upskill and get better, and they thought that just aligning with ACCA will no longer be priority to them. So people that are eligible on this call, just start to count the cost. If you indeed want to do this, you have 2 years or 2.5 years to quickly wind up and ensure that you write this paper. It's very important that we say it at this point, so you don't think that you have this indefinitely. After the May 2026 submission round, this offering gradually closes, more like. So what are the things you need to know, the things that qualifies you to be able to write this project? You must have passed 3 papers in your ACCA Applied Skills examination. So you must have passed your financial reporting, your audit and assurance, and your financial management. At this point, you want to ensure that I know people that they are writing financial management and they decide that they want to write a project because they know that what they've written or what they would write in financial management will be a success. So it's fine at that stage, but before your result is released to you, you must demonstrate pass in those 3 papers. You must have passed and, of course, gain exemptions from 6 papers at knowledge and skill levels. All those other levels, it's either you've gained exemption from them or you have passed it already. So technically, it's only at the applied skills level. So someone maybe on this call who is just at the knowledge level, and probably you have 3 more or 4 more papers to go, and you're wondering, how am I going to ensure that I meet up with this May 2026 expiration, so to say? But you can, right? So you could decide to just write your exams, do March, do June, and do September, just so you cover up and ensure that at least before 2026 looks far, but then I promise you it's almost there. Another important thing that you must have done before you are eligible to write this project is that you must have completed your ethics and professional model, or that ACCA ethics and professional model. It was formerly called professional ethics model. You must have concluded it. I remember that there was one submission round. We were at our OBU presentation. Remember that this is induction. Presentation day means everything that you need to do, you have done. And you're just presenting the summary of your work to the mentors in the house. And we're at that meeting, and one of our mentees, I just mentioned again that everyone just, let's be sure that we have submitted, let's just cross the I's and dot the T's. This guy had done exceptionally well. He had tried his best and he got to that level. I said, oh, wait though, which one are we saying? And then he realized that he wasn't eligible because he had not completed his ACCA ethics and professional skills. So please, I'm going to be sharing the timelines when you need to, and there's a timeline, right? If for a submission round you have not completed it before that date, then you are no longer eligible. Of course, he was no longer eligible and he couldn't submit that round, and he submitted the next round. Yes, thankfully he's passed his exams and he's doing very well now. But then you don't want to waste time, waste effort, probably even have made payments before then you then realize that you're not eligible. So all these things has to be in place for you to be eligible to write your papers. Must have passed RAP within the 10 years of your earlier submission. So some people always ask this question that, okay, I have registered. So maybe this is 2023. People that are registered in 2012, are they eligible? You know, typically it's supposed to be within 10 years window. So if you are above 10 years window, I also do not like to say on this call that you can't, you are 100% not eligible. I always encourage people, write to ACCA, write to the Oxford Brookes offering. They always send them an email today. Latest tomorrow, you get a feedback. Let them confirm to you. Oh, I've seen people who were at the border of 10 years and they really wanted to submit, and they reached out to ACCA, and ACCA told them, oh, fine, this is actually your last eligibility period. So if you have also registered, so you should also know that time is ticking. If you have registered a long time ago, so let's look at it well. If you registered in 2018, oh, you have time. And but if you registered maybe in 2013, 2012, you can imagine that you no longer have the time. So there's just so many milestones or so many things to track now. You know, there is the fact that in 2026 this offering is going to wind off. There is the part that if you are not 10 years, you may not be able to write it. You know, all those things. It's important that you know it and you clear yourself, and you are fine ahead of the submission. So, like I said, the final decision as to who is eligible to write this project is with the Oxford Brookes offering themselves, and they have a dedicated email address. Like I said, just when in doubt, just go to students@accaglobal.com, send them an email, and they will respond to you and provide you clarity. They will let you know whether you're eligible or you're not eligible. The RAP, I said, which is called Research and Analysis Project, RAP, as we go on in this presentation, I'm going to be referring to it as RAP. So what does RAP entail? What does this RAP mean? And, you know, what do I need to do? Your RAP is the research report itself, and it has to be 7,500 words. 7,500 words, with each chapter having its own requirements. We also see it. So in all, you should not write more than 7,500. If you write beyond 7,500, there will be a cut at 7,500 and the others will be ignored. So there's a margin of plus or minus 10%. So it's a 7,500 words project with 3 parts. Your RAP, which is the research analysis project, is divided into 2, right? You have the skills and learning statements as well. The skills and learning statements. Your skills and learning statements is a reflection of your learnings as you journeyed. So there are like 3 questions where Oxford Brookes expects you to answer. You know, what have you learned in this process? How have you become better? There are 3 questions. We'll go to those questions. And it is expected that you use your own words in answering those questions. Why am I saying this, right? There's a particular diet. We had a mentee who copied another person's skills and learning statements. Of course, was in a rush to submit and then just felt, oh, should be skills and learning statement, you know, just copied it and then submitted. And the person failed because, of course, for you to pass your RAP, you must pass SLS and pass the research report itself. So the research report was a pass, but the SLS was a fail. And then I was like, oh, how do you copy another person's learnings? These questions are personal. They're things that you should document based on the things that you have done, you know. And the truth is that not all this that, you know, if you copy another person's work for me and probably you send it to me and I review and he reads well, it's English now, they won't write it on it that it was copied from Adetutu's work. So those are errors that a mentor will never be able to identify. In fact, I would be happy that thing is reading very well, there's a smooth sail and there's smooth read, but I don't have a plagiarism checker in my mind that would help me know that you have copied this work. So very important. And then it takes us to the fact that it is both your research project itself and your SLS that you need to run on the plagiarism checker. When we get there, I'll provide additional clarity to that. So moving on, what are the things that you're supposed to note? So for you to get this applied, what's it called? For you to get this BSc that we're looking up to, you need to, you know, we already explained the papers that you need to be exempted from, and paper you need to have done. You need to have completed your ethics module. Then you need to submit your RAP to OBU. Then you'll be able to get BSc in Applied Accounting. We will be sharing links, and Oxford Brookes has been very gracious. They have a dedicated YouTube channel, that explains everything you need to do. As soon as we have you onboarded with us, we would send you these channels. We want you to look at them. We want you to review it. We want you to be able to make an informed decision, and then we would then have a conversation afterwards. So this slide that I'm on now is a slide that I know that is very important to a lot of people. Before I proceed, I would like to know whether you can see the screen at your end. Can you please help me confirm if you can see the screen? Just let me hear you say yes.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Good.
Yes, please.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So this is what determines whether you pass or whether you have a first class. In the Nigeria academic system, we call it second class upper. For them, they call it upper second. Then second class lower is called lower second. Then of course you have a third class. So if the average of your score, in the applied papers, those 3 papers now, if you got exemptions, it would be typically, if you got exemptions and you want to write the BSc in Applied Accounting project, you need to write to relinquish those exemptions so that you can write those 3 papers and qualify.
What are those 3 papers? Sorry to cut.
So financial management.
Okay.
Okay, I mentioned them earlier. I'll say them again. Financial management, financial reporting, and audit. Okay. Those ones in the applied skilled papers, yes. So if the average of your score in these papers is 68 or more, meaning when you add them together and divide it by 3, you have 68 or more, your score is 68 or more, then in this project, whether you have an A, you know that for people that have received their transcript, or people that have done this Oxford Brookes offering, they usually will send you a transcript on the day of the graduation. I'm sure you know that they would actually typically invite you to graduation, depending on the campus that is available. It could be the campus in South Africa, and it could be the one in UK. Any of the campuses that is available, you go there to do graduation. And on that day, you'll be handed over a transcript that shows your performance. So what you see on your transcripts are these papers plus what you have in your project. I know that there will be people on the call that want to ask me if you can serve with it in Nigeria. So let me just pre-answer the question ahead. So yes, ACCA has been trying very hard to ensure that you are able to use this to serve in Nigeria. But as of now, as of yet, right, you can't use it to serve in Nigeria yet. However, in terms of employment, you can use it to work. It's just that NYC would not mobilize you because you have BS in Applied Accounting. I know a number of people who works with this alone have a number of people who probably in their initial, maybe they did HND or they didn't have a related accounting course, and this is what they work with now. I can give, loads of examples of people that have even gotten to influential stages. I know a partner in EY whose BSc is just this applied accounting. So sorry, a director, I meant to say. So it's something that you can work with everywhere in the world, but yes, to serve it in Nigeria as at now, you can't. So in case you had that question, I think I've answered that. So 68 or more, whether you have an A, and I should say there are four types of grades that you can have in your project. Is that you have an A, a B, a C, or an F. So there's no D, there's no E. It is A, B, C, F. So A, B, C, F. So if you have A or B or C in the project, and your average in your ACCA scores is 68, then you will have a first class, right? I've had people that have scored C in their project, and because their average is around this, they made a first class. I know quite a number of people, that have achieved that. I also know people, who um, thought that because their grade is between 68 or more, and then they just felt, after all, whether it's A, whether it's B, whether it's C, I still make a first class. They then make F. If it is an F, of course, you would not be able to make a first class. So, and you would need to rewrite the project. So it's very good that you understand where you are. I'm sure that on this graph, some of us can already tell where we are. So let's assume your average is 67. So if you have a C and your average is 67, then you can't make a first class, right? And if your average is 66, these are the people that I always like to pay attention on. When we send our questionnaires out to know the kind of topic you want to write, just to get a sense of your understanding and what exactly you want to do with this project. When we send that questionnaire out, there's a place where we require your grade and what your average is, and we always encourage people to, in fact, we make it a compulsory field. You can't submit that form until you fill that part, so we can know. Just imagine that you are six, and then it's fine. There are people that are on 66 and they don't want to make it first class. It's fine. We can't force you to be what you don't want to be. So if your desire is just, I want to write it, after all, I'm on the 66 edge and I can have an upper second, that's your desire. That's very, very much welcome. However, if you're on 66 and your desire is to, with this money and that you want to pay, you desire to have an A, then you know that you need to work extra hard than the person that just wants to adjust on that line. So when we see people at the verge of 66, we want to, try to, just put you on your toes so that you try your best. And if it's possible, you make a first class in applied accounting. If you are 60 to 65, then there's no first class for you. This is like gospel truth. Is very clear. If you're 60 to 65, you can't make a first class. Whether you have an A, whether you have a B, whether you have a C, it can only be upper second. So moving on gradually, if you are in 55, now 59, sorry, this category of people we also like to pay attention to, because if you are in 59, then you need to ensure that you make a B to make an upper second, so that you don't make a lower second, at that line. Then I always try to encourage people that once if you are in 58, the only thing that can keep you in upper second is A. If you have B or C, you'll be in lower second. Doesn't mean that lower second is not good. People have 2 and they're doing excellently well. Doesn't mean it's not good. I'm just saying, just count your cost and know what you're up for. Now, there's this interesting category of people that are 53. So 53 like that. There's a set of people that are between 50 to 52. And I am emphasizing this because, we've had mentees in that category. We got to talk, and then we discovered that they are on 50 to 52 already. And, we made it clear, if you're starting this project, just know, even if you have an A in this project, you still make it third class. If you are fine and you have, looked at it and you feel it doesn't matter, I just want a BSc in accounting, irrespective of whether it's a third class or not, then it's fine. We are happy to support you. But at least we've provided the information to you upfront. Now, the question is, have we had mentees like that? Yes. There is a particular diet we had a pretty elderly person that came to join, and she was just at this verge, and we made this clear, and she said it's not an issue, that she's fine, and she went ahead and she obtained her grade, and of course she had a third class. So just know that if that's where your grade is, it will be a third class. And if you don't mind, we wouldn't want you to pay the mentoring fee, pay for the book offering, and then you'll be like, oh my God, I didn't even know that this is, how can I do this much work to then get a third class? There's no appeal, there's nothing you can actually do. It's a function of those averages, and once it falls in this category, that's what you can achieve. So once you have passed your wrap, of course, you can't then say that you want to do another wrap. No, if it did not pass, of course, you can decide to do something else. So I'm sure that this slide is clear to us. We understand what is expected of us, and we can count our costs before going on the journey. So I'll go to the structure of the RAP quickly. There are three parts of the research report itself, like I've mentioned. Rather than call it chapter, well, it could be called chapter, they call it parts. So there's a part one, part two, and part three. Your part one is describing the objective of the overall research. Why are you doing it? Why have you chosen to do this research? This topic that you've chosen, why did you choose it? What's informing your decision? And is there something that is special that you like to just highlight to whoever will be reviewing? This particular part of your research project is very important. It is what it is like your elevator pitch when you're meeting someone that could help you. What if you let me use the word, if you misyan your chapter one, then it could put off whoever wants to read it. Like, okay, it then suggests that you may not even know what you're doing. Your chapter one has to be your best foot forward. We've had instances where we keep providing comment that what we are reading here does not carry much weight, and people come, oh, it's okay, it's my learning. Okay, it's fine. It is your project. We are only supposed to help and guide, so the ultimate decision also lies with you. But then I would encourage everyone, if you have decided to do this, your chapter one has to be on point, top notch. It has to be well written. What we have also discovered, we've done this for a bit. What we've discovered mentoring is that it's very important that you're able to write good English, right? So if you're someone that you struggle with quality writings, you need to improve on it, because it is what it is. I'm not an English teacher, right? I can't rewrite your project for you. It's your responsibility to write it. So quality English, you're not putting your project on a plagiarism checker, but they are free dictionary. What do we call those things? QuickBooks, not QuickBooks. What's that thing? Forgotten the name. There's one name, Grammarly and all that, that can help you to write effectively well. Not writing well, also slims your chance. I've read examiners' comments before that says that, we struggle to understand what you're even saying. Everything is not syncing together. And your mentee is not an English teacher. I repeat again. So the quality, I tell people, what do mentees do? If your project was supposed to be 60, maybe you have done the work and which you will have been graded a 60, which will be a B. When the quality review comes in and we criticize your thought process and help, check this, check that, we could improve it to a 70 or 85 for you. But imagine if you have done a work that is 10 or 15. Even if we improve it, it may be a 40, which is still not a pass. So it is very important that the quality you are bringing, what you are bringing forth, is excellent. You're researching well on the industry you have chosen and you're doing it well. So that's about part one. Part two is about information gathering and accounting and business techniques. In part two, you will do a lot of reference to another man's work. So for example, there is no how you want to describe a ratio and someone else has not said it before. It is not your original idea. You want to talk about ratio analysis, what it's about. You want to talk about liquidity. You want to talk about solvency and all. All those things have been defined by people before you were even born. So you need to reference the work of even when you paraphrase, even when you change the context, provided that thing is not your original idea, then you must adequately reference. In fact, what we would also do is, if you decide that you'll be part of the faculty, we would, take you on a day where we would explain referencing to you in details, because a lot of people are falling short just because they could not reference appropriately. So your part two is for 2,000 words. Typically, bulk of the things that you'll be writing there, except for maybe some introduction and some paraphrased work, will be the work of another person. So the research does not want you to only do ratio analysis. It wants you to do business analysis. What model are you using to analyze? We'll get into that details as time goes on as well. So it's very important that you are able to effectively reference the work of others that is not yours. Then your chapter three, which is the bulk of the chapters. We said that the first, you must put your best foot forward, and the last, you must present your best. You want the person that is reading your analysis to be overly impressed, to be happy that you have done a good research work. It's unlike the academic work that we do in Nigeria, where you will have gotten somebody's project and you're trying to edit and rephrase. In fact, sometimes if you're even giving it to someone to type for you, you don't even have a sight of it. If you do that here, you meet it there and you waste your money. So very important, you write it very well. You can't finish writing this project and not be better for it. So very important, 4,500 words. The examiner wants to be able to see what are the objectives that you highlighted you wanted to achieve. In your conclusion, are you achieving those objectives? Are your research questions addressing each of your objectives? And so on. Very important, that you are able to achieve that. So I said earlier that skills and learning statement is part of it, and that is also um, it's also 2,000 words, and they just want to know how much you have learned. What's your reflection? You're answering two questions. You're reflecting on what you have done with your mentee, and you are communicating effectively and documenting it, and of course, doing a project. So there's a part one and part two as well. The first one, 2,000 words, and the other one is where you do your project. So we have 20 approved topic. I think it's been streamed down to 18 now, if I'm not mistaken. And very important is the type of data that you need when you are doing different topics. Sometimes you need primary data, depending on the type of topic. It's not like other schools projects where you are allowed to choose your own topic, submit it for review, maybe like submit like 3 topics, and then um, your supervisor then tells you, oh, okay, I don't want you to do this or something. No, here you have predetermined topics. You walk into those topics and pick the one that you think is best suitable for you. There are questions, or these questions that are listed, we'll get to them, you see them. There are some of them that as you're reading it, you already know, even the examiner has put it there, or the markers have put it there, that this, if you need to do it, it requires internally generated information or primary data. Primary data meaning you have to do interviews for people that work in that institution. You need to do questionnaire. You need to be able to demonstrate that you know them very well. If you are doing any topic that requires primary data, please have access to people that can give you information in that company, depending on what it is. If it's something on human resources, please know the head of human resources of that firm, right? Because they are internally generated information. If it is something that is related to finance, please ensure you know someone in the finance team, or maybe the CFO of the organization, and aside knowing them, is please discuss with them and let them be willing to share the information with you. It's very important that the willingness to share information is important. If and what I want to say now is not to say that it's only secondary data that you should use, right? But if you are doing your research and your research is based off secondary data, that way you just go onto the internet, look for analyst opinion, look for the annual financial statements, look for published things about the organization, and you would be fine. You will not need to get to do questionnaire, do interviews, and things that may be a bit more internal. And I will say again, on this call, we are not saying that you can only do secondary data. No, there are people that have done. So I had a mentee one when I think it was about 3 diets after, just after I started mentoring, and the mentee was working in a company that she had access to their information. I was working in a company that was a competitor to my mentee's company, and because my mentee had taken time, of course, you also get to know who your mentor is during your first meeting, so that you can clear out gray areas like this. And because she had taken time to review the requirements of the school very well, she knew that I was working. Of course, we had discussed, and she knew that I was working in. I disclosed to her as well as soon as I started seeing the topic she wanted to do. That I was working in a competitive company, and she was going to be sharing with me as a mentor internally generated information. What did she do quickly? We signed the code of secrecy that what I am reviewing or the information that I'm going to be getting access to based on me being a mentor was strictly going to be used for academic purpose. Of course, I think the lady is a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken. So it helped again. So I signed that okay, this is strictly for academic purpose, and I'm also going to turn into profitable gains. And she went on, she had access to the internet. It was our research work for me was enlightening. One of the things that this working with people, submission round or submission round does is when people have done a fantastic work reviewing their companies, is always a plus for us because we learn. As we're reviewing, you get to know about an industry. If the person has done a good job, I said, you get to know about the industry, you get to know about things happening that may not be your own primary area of focus. So that's a plus, that the faculty gives to us. So sign the code of security. She also, sends to her. She asked ACCA to send an email to a company that whatever we are gathering is also solely for academic purpose and it's not going to be commercialized and all. We tied up all the loose ends and it was good. So very important. Primary information, if you have access to it, also work. Publicly available information are information that you see, like I said, the annual account, published financial statements, commentaries, press release, chairman statements, CFO statements, MD statements. Those are publicly available information and you can make your deduction from them. And of course, they are internally generated information that if you do not get to the people internally, most especially you want to use a company that is private or a company that is not quoted, some of this information you will need permission, to be able to access them. So moving on to the topics that we have, I won't take time to read everything one by one. I'll just run you through, OBU has been gracious to tell you that for this topic, if you cannot get primary data and you don't have access to internally generated information, don't bother. So this topic is speaking to budgetary controls and all. You cannot analyze budget of an institution without having access to that institution. So by the time you read it, oh, I want to do topic 1, the analysis and evaluation of an organization's budgetary control and its links to performance management and decision making. That's the topic I want to do. I love it. Why? One of the things that we do during our first day, we'll ask you, our first meeting, we'll ask you, why have you chosen this topic? People will say, when I was doing ACC, or as I'm still doing ACC, I used to like control. I used to like budget, and that's why I chose it. Yeah, it's okay. But then your reasons has to be deep because those questions that we're asking you day 1 is the answer to your chapter 1. So you need to be convinced that you have access to internal generated information. So topic 1, you can't do without access to internally generated information. Same with topic 2. Topic 2 is evaluating the impact of positive or negative internal digital and technological innovation. I've also had, okay, I think that project that I said that was excellently done, and that the person validated or something, I think it was chapter 2. I mean, it was topic 2 that the person did. So it's okay if you have internally generated information is fine. Moving on to topic 3 is an assessment of the potential impact of impending legislation on financial position of an institution. So it could be a court order, it could be something that they just release that can affect the financial operation of an organization, and the firm, and the firm is happy for you to use them as a case study. Is fine. This one already said that publicly available it's already said that publicly available information could be used. Now, when you see a clause like this, of course, you're safe. If you also have access to internally generated information, it's fine. But if you don't, at least the topic had already told you that you could use, because really, you can find the legislation online. You can find the impact on there. You can analyze, you can project the impact. So it's okay. You can use publicly available information. So topic 4 is a pretty new topic that they just introduced, and is speaking to evaluating and analyzing the business performance of an organization which has performed exceptionally poor over a 3-year period with a critical analysis of the reasons for difficulties. I noted in the past 4 diets since COVID, a lot of people always run to say, oh, I want to do this company because of performance. And if you read information pack will tell you, okay, please, we're tired of hearing that COVID is the reason why this company performed badly. Please ensure that you are using, you don't even refer to COVID again. So if you are not able to determine the reason why an institution has performed exceptionally poor, and okay, and then maybe another issue that I know that people always have midway into this project is that they will then discover that the company has not been consistent in performing poorly. So maybe, it's a 3-year period. Year one of their review period, the company has done exceptionally poorly. Year two, it went up. Year three, it then came down. So they then have issues. How do I explain? It went up, it came down, it went up again. And honestly, it may be rare to find an institution where, except there's something fundamentally wrong, that 3 years back to back to back, they will not be doing well. So there's always that window that happens sometimes, and your ability to effectively analyze, interpret your results is always important. So you can imagine that you need to sit down, count your costs. In fact, in researching for your institution, you sit down and look at the company. You do your own survey. It's more like you are doing a business advisory. So you are looking for a survey. You are trying to look at what is better, and then whatever topic you see that will give you issue, please just leave it. You have 20 to choose from. So I always encourage people. Of course, you can dare to be different. You don't have to do topics that people have done before, but in your daring to be different, be sure that you will not hang when you get in the middle. So yes, this one, you can use publicly available information, and it is very important. So anywhere, these are extracts from the information pack. It's not created by us in the Ivy League school. This is exactly what the information pack said you should do. So if you are doing this analysis, so you have people, someone is writing this topic and it comes, is not even comparing with other entity. It's not talking about the industry. Already, you know that that's a recipe for failure. And you keep saying, this thing that you're doing, you need to compare, go back to the topic, go back to the requirements. Passing this rap is real work. And in the next 3 months, if this is the journey you want to take, you must be prepared to do research. You must be prepared to read. In fact, you must be prepared to pay extra. So maybe you want to subscribe to institutions that do publications. Some of them are free anyways. If you're able to read online very well, you find these things free. But whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. So topic 5 also, allows you to use, topic 5 is like a flip of topic 4. This is talking about a company that has performed exceptionally well. And in Nigeria, for example, when you say companies that performed exceptionally well, from my analysis in the past three submissions, people will run and then they will do banks because, in Nigeria. And I think I should also say at this point, you don't have to use Nigerian companies alone, even if you are in Nigeria. You can use companies outside the country. Just ensure that their financial reporting jurisdiction or financial reporting standards is aligned. So you can't compare NGAAP, for example, to IFRS. So ensure that it's IFRS, and it's not they are not using local accounting standards. Once their accounting standards are comparable, then it's fine. Of course, we have people that when they come to the automobile industry, a lot of people have seen projects that will compare Toyota to something, Rolls Royce to and those companies are not in Nigeria, and they do the analysis very well. So you're for you. Hello? Please, can you hear me?
I can hear
Hello?
you, although
Okay.
that
I
Yes, we
went
can
off for
hear
a
you.
bit, right? Okay, all right. Sorry about that. So moving on to other topics. Topic 6 is speaking to, so this motivation is what I said that my one of my no, not this one, this is not the one I was referring to, but yes, we've had quite a number of people that have done this as well. People that work in HR companies and have access to information, and they've done it exceptionally well. So restructuring, restructuring of organizations' operational activities, and also I won't bore you with, looking at these things one by one so that we don't waste time. But each of the topics that you have available has the requirements and how you should generate the data. And like I said, any of these topics that you have chosen to do, we have seasoned mentors that will be assigned to you to help to ensure that this is a success. So you see internally generated information, you see public information, all the way down to, the last topic that you have available. So that those are 20 topics that you have that you can work with in ACCA. One important thing is, depending on the topic, some topics require that you focus on just one company, you analyze them and you compare them to their industry. Some topics require that you compare a company to another. So topic 4.5 that I mentioned earlier, that is looking for institutions that have performed poorly or performed badly over a 3-year period, requires that you are technically reviewing two companies in the industry, and then you are comparing their performance. So you need to read clearly, of course, and have conversations with your mentor. What exactly is the requirement of this topic? So it's more like you are unveiling and distilling the topic. Analysis. So I have topic 19 up on my screen. I hope it's visible at your end. Analysis and evaluation of financial and operating consequence of a merger between two organizations, or the acquisition of one organization by another. You already see that you are comparing companies that merged together, or you are comparing two companies that came together and became one, or one company that took over
Sorry,
another. Hello.
I can't see topic 19. Sorry. I don't know if it's
You
from
can't
my
stop.
side.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
Okay, I'm seeing it now. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Now, I'm just using topic 19 as an example. Nothing is just to draw our attention to it. I don't know. There seems to be a delay.
Yeah, I understand.
With, yeah. Let me know if it's up now. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I was just trying to use that topic 19 as an example, and to explain that when you pick a topic, you're sitting to look through exactly what the topic entails, what it will require from you, and you're also mapping how you would do it. So moving on, very important is that your wrap is not financial analysis. So some people are financial analysis guru. They just want to analyze ratios. This company has increased profitability, dropped, and so many things. Yeah, but the project does not only want you to do financial analysis, because the work of a finance person is moving beyond, or accountants, is moving beyond just churning numbers. I'm sure that every time you would hear, oh, if there's a job, if they were to list top 20 jobs that will go extinct, you will see accounting, audit, and all that there, right? If that part of your work is going extinct, there's a part of your work that won't go extinct, and that's why I like to call accountants finance professionals, right? That part of your work that won't go extinct is advisory, business analysis, which is the reason why you will see that the paper P1, P3 that we used to have then had been merged together to, a big topic, so that everybody can understand business analysis. As an accountant, your work is not only to churn numbers, because systems can do it. Debit, credit, train a system to identify what to post. Just put parameters in the system, you run it, and everybody is fine. But then business analysis becomes your top priority. Financial analysis, looking in depth. If this happens, what is the implication for our business? And that's what the OBU project expects you to do. So beyond the numbers, when you see the numbers, what does the number translate to for that company? Then what is your advice for that company? What are they doing now? What are they going to do? Things like that. You're reviewing just beyond financial analysis, and you're analyzing the business. I thought to mention that. For quality control and plagiarism checks, it is very important that you take this part very, very seriously, because it's from the beginning, from day one, that you can ensure that your project is not a reflection of another person's project. I always encourage people, because you want to write, you don't go and look for an existing project and say, this is how this person wrote it, I'll follow that. You're making mistake from day one. Sit down from the scratch, build your rap. Ensure it is original. And how you can ensure originality is, as you're researching, if you're copying anything from a site that you believe is useful, you first of all read and understand it, reword it in your own word, and reference that site. I will show you how an effective referencing is supposed to be. Maybe we may not be able to go into the details, but at least I would explain it. Very important. Cheating is defined as is like you're deceiving the university. You want the university to think that what you have done that is false is actually yours, just to attain a grade. So you shouldn't be seen as assisting someone else to cheat. Neither should you cheat. So when I say they refer people to the academic committee, is for a disciplinary process, and the process is always long. I've seen the process work a few times, and honestly, I do not want anybody to fall into that. Once your work is run on the is passed through the Turnitin process, and you have similarity index of greater than 6% to another person's work, you'll be referred to the academic committee, and you'll be charged for cheating. So and they take it very seriously. So you must ensure that you are paraphrasing, you are appropriately paginating, you're appropriately referencing the work of others that is not yours, even if that source is from the information pack. So it's very important. So I'll just move on. So what are the things that you should be thinking about when you want to choose data? I already spoke about it. Access to the data. You know the company, you know the people, news and other media coverage. You want to know companies with highest capitalization, things like that. You must think through it. You must think about it. Does this company have a comparator? If yes, are they in the same industry? So I remember that there was one year, I think it was Onward Paper and one other paper producing venture that one of the mentees was working on. And they then discovered along the line that second one, I can't remember the name clearly, had another line of business that was not making it exactly comparable to Onward. And it was in the middle that we're then saying, oh my God, no, these companies are not really comparable. So it would, impact our decisions. And then she had to roll back and start from the beginning. So it's always good. This company that you have chosen, are they indeed comparable? So we have new financial institutions in Nigeria. Let's say, for example, you were to review a new, you wanted to compare Access, and you want to compare Access with Signature Bank, for example. They are really not comparable in terms of size, right? So you need to ensure that what you're doing is very comparable, just like you can also compare a merchant bank with a commercial bank, because their focus is slightly different, and so that you don't get a skewed perspective is always important. And then some companies also have global, and they have a group. That group may be producing, I think it was Rolls-Royce one year, that they had a line of business that the comparator didn't have. That could make a difference. So ensuring that you are comparing the right line of business, the right comparable firm, is also very important. And then I used to tell people, the company that you have chosen as your main company need not be the best, or need not be doing better than the other one. Of course, it's better. It is good, rather, if you are able to find a company that is doing better. However, you're not advocating for that company. You're not their business advisor. You're only doing academic research. So if you discover that the company is not doing well, it's fine. So when we get into the middle of the submission, I see emotional attachment with the company that you have chosen. It's okay, I know, a company that you've been researching for 2 months, 3 months, the tendency to be emotionally glued to them is there. But then they don't have to be doing better than the other. If they are doing better, it's fine. But then let it be clear. Don't, because it's your comparator, I mean your main company, then wants all ratios to be in their advantage. If it's to their advantage, analyze it as such. If it's not, analyze it as such. Like I said, you're not a business, you don't even work for the firm. You're only doing a business and an academic analysis. And whatever you find in your research, that's what you're going to be writing. It's just like analysts in the industry that review different institutions. They don't care about whether that company, they say this, it would impact them. Don't forget that this your work is actually solely for the purpose of academic research. In fact, I think there was one particular research that was done on a particular company. When the lady was done, was it lady or guy? It looks like I'm giving examples of ladies, guy, and then he submitted it to the firm and they found it very useful. They looked at it and they felt, oh my God, this is going to even spur us into a right direction. And they found the academic research useful. So I want it to be such that when you're writing yours, you finish and then share with the company, and the company is happy that you have done a research on them. So I had spoken about iTicket at the beginning. iTicket is the plagiarism software that is allowed for this project. There are other free ones online. However, it is not allowed for this project. Please, I know that registering on iTicket has another dollar implication. I think it's $100, I believe. But please, and please don't go onto it until you're ready, because I think you only with $100 offering, I think you will only be able to submit 3 times. So I'm not saying you should do chapter 1, go and put it there, and then finish when you're done. Please, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so and finish when you're done, and then still not be able to work around what you have. So please, let's ensure that we use the recommended plagiarism software allowed by the institution. I already spoke about the part that we have in Oxford Brookes offering. Your part 1 typically will speak to, this thing is not displaying as fast as I thought, but then let me just speak to it. So your part 1 is supposed to speak to the reason why you chose the topic, why, what you wanted to find out, right? What you wanted to find out is your research objectives, and you also be explaining your overall research approach. That's what your chapter 1 is all about, and it's for 1,000 words. It is a very important part that you need to write well. Your chapter 2 is data gathering. You're looking at you're explaining how you got the source, you're describing the limitations you faced, you're talking about ethical issues. So another thing I want to quickly say here is, when you are doing when you're doing a topic that requires internally generated information, then in your chapter 1 you must talk about ethical considerations, because already you need to deal with human being one-on-one. They could bias that data, they could manipulate that data. So you need to talk about ethical issues. But if you are getting your data straight from online, of course, if a publicly available information is already biased, you don't even know. It's not biased on your account. So yeah, you could say that because you picked the data from the website, it should have complied with relevant accounting standards, and therefore you did not run into any ethical issues. Of course, the nitty-gritty of the things you need to highlight would talk about it as we go into the topic. 4,500 words is your chapter 3, and it has to be very detailed and prescriptive. It has to explain everything you did, how you did the analysis, what's the presentation. Of course, it has to be presented in graphs and charts. It has to be very, very clear, what you found from your
How about
research.
chapter 2? How many words?
Chapter 2 is 2,000 words, 2,000. So chapter 1 is 1,000 words. Chapter 2 is 2,000 words. Chapter 3 is 4,500 words. So 4,500 words, you are describing your conclusions, your finding, you're presenting it in graphs and charts. It's like you are submitting a business pitch. It has to be clear, understandable. Everybody that did not do that research with you, when they read through what you have documented, They should be able to understand it. And remember, like I said, there could be 500 people writing the same thing, submitting to the examiners. So you need to ensure that it is factual. You're not just sitting down and thinking, yes, let's just write it and add something. No, it is an analysis and it has to be factual. That institution, for you to have seen their information online, a lot of people will be reviewing them. So please ensure that it is factual, it is correct, it is critical, and you're critically analyzing. You're not just saying, oh, this line moves up. So a lot of times when we get to OBU presentation day, one of the challenges we just have people, they just say gross sales went up by 30%. Finish. What does the implication of gross sale going up by 30%? What does it mean for the institution? What accounted for it? Is it the cost of sales that is dropping? Is it the gross income that is increasing? So many things can account for that. So you must ensure that you are able to rightly quote the reason why things have happened in a particular period. So I'll just move on. The word count, I already talked about it. It's supposed to be maximum of 7,500. Once your project gets to plus or minus 7,400, they will just take a cut off and then they will ignore the rest. So you can imagine if the details of the things you wanted to write, is now in the last chapter that, they've ignored. So please ensure that you stick to the recommended word count and you do not exceed it. Then don't just copy and paste extract of the financial statement into your work. Like I said, you are supposed to present it in a graphical format, right? Let it be graphically presented. Let's see the analysis and the graphical presentation of the work that you have done. You're not just doing screenshots, doing picture of financial statement of an organization and you're pasting it in your work. So your skills and learning statements. I spoke about this earlier. Sorry. So I'm trying to go back to the slide so you could see the skills and learning statements is trying to load. Okay, so hopefully it will come up now. So the skills and learning statement is also a very important part of your wrap, and it is if it's not passed, the whole project will be a fail. So for you to achieve a pass, it has to be passed on the project, the research project itself, and a pass on skills and learning statement. I see no reason why you will not pass your skills and learning statement. The only thing that this requires from you is dedication and attention to details from day one, because you are more like documenting and reminiscing on your experience with your mentor. So the first question, so of course you need to ensure that you are reflecting on the numbers from day one, asking the right questions and all. So 2 questions. How have you developed personally and professionally as a result of undertaking the research analysis? So they said you should consider what new skills you have developed, the challenges you have faced, and how you have overcome them. So these questions, from day one, you should start thinking about it. This thing, is it that? So sometimes people would say, oh, I didn't even know how to use Word very well before I started knowing how to do it. Oh, presentation helped me. It was my first time. I gained confidence. Oh, I used to do presentation before. I didn't used to see this analysis in this light. So many things. Your learning is your learning, and nobody's going to query you for what you have learned. Only ensure that it makes sense to your readers. And like you can imagine that you shouldn't feel anything like this because it's your learning anyway. You shouldn't fail it, but yeah, we have people that fail it because all they want to do is copy the work of another person and submit it. But time on time, year on year, Oxford Brookes have proven that they are able to catch people that cheat in this line. So you're documenting it and you're putting it together in a form that is very readable and understandable. Then how will the experience of your rap help you in future? These are personal questions. How would it help you? Some people will say, oh, because I've done this, I want to pick a business analyst role. Or because I've done it, I have decided I will go into finance proper. Because I've done it, I changed my role. Or because I've done it, something happened in my institution and I took time out to do it. And it was, there's so many things that you can document that will help you. They want to know, they said you should consider if it has made you employer. It's okay. I know that we have people on this call who already have good employment. They don't want, this thing is not going to give them any, but you still have to think about what this has done better for you. You can't then say that, you went through a dedicated study of 3 months and nothing was added to you. OBU would not accept that. So did it make you more employable? It's okay, write what you think. And do you think it would affect, and honestly, I know people, so as you're on this call, you can imagine as we live, right? We have people that are on the high end of the curve, we have people that are middle, we have people that are low, we have people that are just starting. And of whichever part that we belong to in life, of course, we grow and we get better. So maybe some of the people have said that this thing has altered their course, that's changed it. They wrote topic 4 and they just want to work in another institution, or they, so many things can happen. Just ensure it is your learnings. No one can query you for your learnings. Document it appropriately, and of course, and if you don't document it appropriately, there will be an issue for passing. So there are timelines for completing this wrap, and over the years, we've discovered that people, because it's not a school where there's a VC, and we can, of course, we have a VC. I'm saying a school where is you can enforce control, so to say. I can't say that it's okay if you decide that you want to waste the money that you have paid for mentoring. It's okay. However, there are schools where there are punishment for maybe not coming to class or stuff like that. We have people that pay for the OBU mentorship and you're chasing them. Week 1, let's have meeting. I'm busy. I can't talk. I'm at work. And you're like, okay, I won't chase you more than I should chase you, right? You should even be the one chasing me. So we pause and we leave ourselves. Then when it is 1 week to submission or 3 weeks to submission, person runs back, I'm ready, it's done with chapter 1 to 3 all of a sudden and expects you to do magic overnight. So, we have things like that. And as a school, we're going to be strictly, following some of this. Of course, it's not like we can't punish you. There's nothing we can do. However, you will just know that your success or your failure lies 100% in your hands. I've seen mentees before that it is maybe 2 days to submission that they just wake up and then they send everything to you and expect that even if you were a magician, a lot of things will miss you. That most of the projects that have happened like that have not ended well. Yes, some of them have. I know that there's been a particular mentee that approach things this way, and we're like, oh no, you don't do things this way, and the guy said, it's okay, it's fine, and he passed, right? And there are people that have approached it and the failure was woeful. Like, even when you see the examiner's comments, you pity them. So you need to, for me, I believe that structure is very important in everything. Everybody is busy. We all have 1001 reasons why we shouldn't be on this call today. We have made a sacrifice to join, to learn. So that's the sacrifice that you must put in mind that you are making for this course. So please, very important, do background reading, do self-analysis. I already mentioned it. Where are your strengths? Which project should I do? Which company do I know? Ahead of your first meeting, don't get to your first meeting with your mentor and be clueless. You should be coming bubbling with ideas. The guy or the lady should only be adding to what you know, right? So please, ahead of our first meeting, let us prepare. Let's even have a timetable. What you should do, prepare a timetable for yourself. What do I want to do? We will send you a guide as to the timings. You'll see it in this slide as I proceed. But then prepare yourself. Ensure that you are the one that is steering conversation. Let it be you standing on your mentor's neck that, oh, we've not done this. Oh, hey, sir, can you help me? Or something than, the reverse. So you have your first mentors meeting. And at that first mentors meeting, you see this diagram that is on the board here. I didn't develop it though. It is in information pack because OBU understands the nitty-gritty of this mentorship. And of course, it's their school and the recommendations. From day 1, you can see evidence of skill and learning statements. Day 1, you're already showing evidence that, oh, I learned something, oh, from this first meeting. And immediately after your first meeting, you go back, you finalize your objectives, your research question, your overall research approach. Then you start to plan, how do I gather my data? Then from there, you are looking at the accounting techniques you want to use, the business techniques you want to use, and all other things that would ensure that your research objectives is answered. Then you analyze and you can see how much work that you should have done before you even go to your mentor for second meeting. You know, I already said that all OBU has asked mentors to do is to query your thought pattern. This thing, oh, don't you think you should? Oh, does this? That's all. It's not. Some people will say, but maybe you should help me reward it. It's not the work of the mentor. And like I earlier read the profile of the mentors, everyone, they're finance professionals. So it's a plus for you. We have people, if you go online today, and in fact, or Ivy League, we are extremely passionate people. We don't even care about money, because if we talk about money, whatever we offer is a stipend. Right? If you go online, and people have gone online, they've come back. People have said, hey, this fee, can we pay it? They've gone and they've come back, because it's not easier on the other side, so to say. But then we are passionate people. We are doing this because we love to ensure. For me, it looks to me like, and for me and for everyone in the faculty, I just would like to see as many that can embrace this opportunity before the window is closed. That's all I am running on now, right? As many as we can help to achieve this, because for all you care, I know people that this has turned the trajectory of their career around. It has turned it around. So please, that's why we're doing what we're doing. Before 2026 comes, let's see as much that can embrace it. Before, otherwise, you then have to go and pay school fees to go and register and then start afresh. You can imagine. So please, if you can um, maximize this window, please do. Like I said, see how many things you should have done before you go to your mentor the second time. The second time you are meeting your mentor, you should be drawing your conclusion. But imagine us in this school. We don't do that to you. We don't leave you to yourself. Every of your chapter, you collect feedback. We give you, we channel your energy in the right direction. We give you, our own opinion, right? Of course, not rewriting it for you, but asking you questions that can make you better. You're part of a WhatsApp group where it's a community of people. We personally send you. So OBU also does webinars in preparation for your submission. They will do webinars. So there will be topics or chapters that they believe that people are finding difficult. They would come, explain what the marker wants to see. We track these webinars and forward to you so that you can actively be a part of it. So the school is doing so well to ensure that you are fine. Then all the way after your second meeting, then you then have your draft report. Then you have your third meeting with your mentor. At the third meeting is what we call our OPU presentation day. And I promise you, you will have had maybe like 20 meetings safe, if possible, virtually, online, physical, everything you will have had as much as possible. We have mentors that are in Nigeria. We have mentors that are not in Nigeria. It doesn't stop active engagement across the relevant space. So I thought it was necessary to also talk about resubmission rule. I think I've spoken to it. Once you have done once you have submitted your paper once, you're no longer eligible to have an A. You'll be restricted to a C. And so there are rules for resubmission. If you failed, if you have passed, once you have passed your RRR, which is your research report. Remember I said that your RAP is divided into two. It's divided into RR and SLS. RAP is research analysis projects. RR is research report. SLS is skills and learning statements. So once you have passed your RR, and it's only if you fail SLS, then it's only SLS you'll be resubmitting. But once you fail RR, then you're eligible to resubmit both at the next submission cycle. And after 3 submission rounds, you'll no longer be able to achieve the grade you desire. So moving on to a very important part that I know that a lot of people always want to know. I spoke about the ethics model earlier, and I said that we had a mentee one diet who was on the OBU presentation day that I realized that he wasn't opted in. He hadn't even completed his ethics model. If you can screenshot this, is fine. Please ensure that if you want to submit, and I mean for the November submission route that will be beginning today technically, you must have completed your professional ethics model by 23rd September 2023. If you have not completed it, then you will not be eligible to submit. The earliest submission of your RAP, of course, your submissions are online, is November 1st. So you have November 1st, you need to, so from between now to November 1st, so let's say technically you have October, you have August is almost gone, you have October, then you have November to finish this RAP. So, we need to, we have September, October, November, and that's why we are starting now, so that we can at least have an average of 3 months to finalize. So, yes, if you're able to submit on the 1st of November, it's good. Otherwise, you have up until 9th November to submit. If you're not able to submit 9th November, then you will not be able to make November submission round. And if you submit, your result is going to be available March 22nd, 2024. So, and the fee for this submission is £470. I'm sure we know what pounds to naira is saying now. If you were to convert this money, you can imagine that it's not is a bit significant. So you might want to consider that as well. But one thing that Oxford Brookes have done to help people knowing the situation in Nigeria is to also allow you to submit even without paying. So if you are ready and you don't have all the funds available yet, you can submit. Only that on the 22nd of March 2024, your results will not be released to you until you pay. So it affords you a number of time to prepare. But then if you indeed want to submit and it is only cash that is your issue, you can go ahead and ensure that before March 22nd, you have your funds to pay. Now going to referencing. I know that we may not be able to do justice to reference today, but we will be doing the service if we don't also talk about it today. Referencing the work of another person, whatsoever has not been done by you is not your own work, and it must be adequately referenced. All, whether it is reworded, whether it is rephrased, whether it's paraphrased, you need to ensure that your work is referenced. And the allowed or the standard referencing, allowed referencing for the Oxford project is Harvard Business Style, and it is very easy to use because on your MS Word you are able to open and follow the prompt. If we are able to demonstrate one on this call, we will. Otherwise, when we have a smaller group of people that are interested and have paid, we may be doing that. Referencing could be an acknowledgement, it could be a paraphrase, it could be summary, it could be quotation. Just ensure that whatever the work of another person that you have copied or that you're referencing is copied. So it could be original text, maybe you're lifting the total original text of someone, there's a way to reference it. And it could be summary, you're paraphrasing what another person has said, you need to reference it. It could be that you're quoting, person said, too rapid to be attributable to genetic factors, and it is that word you want to reference. You have to appropriately reference that as well. Referencing could be in between your text, it could be after your text, it could be at the beginning. Sometimes you just want to focus on an idea. Now I'm just speaking to so that we can have time to write question. To have questions. Sometimes you want to focus on the source, for referencing. All those things, there are ways to do them. So, like I said, if we have time, I will demonstrate how to use the Word documents to appropriately reference. So, moving on to the RAP criteria. I'm sure that you want to know, if somebody were to get A in this project, what does success look like, or what does A look like, for anybody that is looking to do this project. For you to have an A, they look at the technical and professional skills that you have demonstrated. They want to see evidence that you read very well, by use of theories, business model. They want to see that evidence in your work. They want to see understanding of those concepts and the way you have evaluated them. They want to see your ability to link the models. Some people talk about the models in isolation for the company. So they want to see how you've been able to link the models together to explain the peculiarity of what is happening to your institution. And they want to see whether you understand the limitations of the models and all. Something that's granular. It's is what is expected of you. If you get an A. For B, you are demonstrating these things, but maybe not in the depth. So if the person that was to get an A is demonstrating it on maybe like a 80% level, you are doing like 60. C, you're barely doing it, and of course, for anybody that wants, or that gets an F, it's obvious that the coverage is not as in depth, and the examiner was not convinced that the person knows exactly what he's trying to do. Then, still on that technical competence, is they will review application of accounting and business model. So they want to know whether you indeed understand and applied your business model appropriately. So is it insightful? Is it clear? This critical analysis that you're doing, is it, if you did pyramid data, how did you analyze your questionnaire? How did are there, even if there are errors, are they very small? Is it something that, we can almost just ignore that, oh, okay, this thing is, anybody could have made this kind of mistake? You just want to be able to, how you analyzed your data, if it's from a questionnaire, what did you use to analyze it? Do you gather your data on SPSS? Do you use R? Which of the language into? Any of those things, because there are things that are quantitative, and if you're doing any quantitative analysis, you must be able to demonstrate that you're using it well. Then all the way down for people that will have C. Another thing is evaluation of information and analysis. We want to know how you have, this is like reviewing your chapter 3. We want to know exactly how you interpreted every of the ratios, how you interpreted everything that you came across. Is it full? Is it adequate? Is it correct? Is it clear? Did you draw clear conclusions? Are you, whatever you are concluding, an external person that did not research it with you, can I find that thing in your conclusion, or it's just there as a conclusion and we can't even relate to it? Then finally is, on the understanding and what gives you success in your project. The last thing is, how did you present it? Is it clear? Is it readable? Is it understandable? Did you use good English? Can I say that after reading this, there was a flow? I could understand what you're trying to say. There was good structure. Your graph is well labeled, stuff like that, of course, also give success or otherwise. Same in your SLS. Your SLS is also story. We want to be sure those 2 questions that we have asked you, in answering it, of course, they are your learnings, but have you ensured that those learnings, if where there was a need to refer to what another person has said, did you reference it appropriately? Are you able to just demonstrate that beyond just wanting to answer the questions? You are clear, you are speaking to the things you have learned in a convincing manner, and for your RRR, there's no ABC. Is there a pass or a fail? So then we want to also be sure that you have used the right information technology tools, showing clear, how did you access information online and stuff like that. So I'm moving on quickly to the calendar for the OBU. Today's our induction day, is August 12th. If you indicate interest that you want to be part of us, the mentor allocation will be August 19th. The first meeting will be August 26th, where you'll be meeting your mentor for the first time and you'll be discussing. Second meeting will happen September 9th. The third meeting will happen September 30th. So you can imagine, third meeting is where the mentee's presentation is supposed to be, but we give you another meeting as extra. And that's aside the constant communication we have, and then we also dedicate a day to review your project. You'll see that we have intentionally left space between October and the submission, because we know that so many things happen. Sometimes some things just slip, and we want to ensure that we have time. We don't want you to be rushing to submit on the night. If you aim to submit on night, then you may not even submit. If you aim to submit on first, then you may have one or two issues that you can then wait till maybe third or fourth, but our aim is that you don't wait till night to submit. So there are a lot of resources that is available for you. I said that Oxford Brookes have a dedicated YouTube channel where you can go to and understand everything. If there's anything that I said that is not clear to you, you can go to that site, read, and of course on this call you can ask me questions. There are webinars. I already spoke to webinars. They have different webinars per time, depending on the school. Anytime webinars are available, we become aware and then we'll let you know. If you also would like to read examiners' reports on past examination and past submissions and what people did well and didn't do well, there's also a link to get to it. And how to use your Harvard business writing style that I said I would demonstrate on Excel, we can also get to this. So I'll pause here now and take questions if there are any.
Okay, so I have one question. Thank you so much for your explanation. So for those that looking at their average, they'll definitely come out with a third class. Personally, would you advise them to what's the benefits if they come out with a third class in this degree? Thank you.
Interesting and emotional question you have asked, right? So, like I said, we've had people like that, and um, I would not say don't do it. It is a function of what you want to use it for. So there are people that maybe it's just once they have BSc, maybe that promotion they've been waiting for will just come. So for such a people, it would be wrong to say that don't do it because you have a third class. It depends on the motive for which you want to do it. If in your institution, if there are people that make third class and they are working well now and nothing is, they're doing very well in life. In fact, historically, people that make first class, third class do well, because I think as immediately they finish, they know that, yeah, I need to work hard though. Unlike maybe someone that made a 2-1 or make the first class that feels, after all, when I work into 2 institutions to just give me job. The person feels, in fact, a lot of them are very shrewd entrepreneurs. They're doing excellently well. I know people like that. Maybe they just felt that, this thing like this, we need to work harder. And they are doing well, very, very well. And of course, it doesn't mean that their examination, we always say, is not the true test of anybody's ability. Of course, we should try as much as possible when we are examined to pass, because of course, that's what we will carry. So I would say it's a function of where you are. The people that I know that have done it, that have advised to do it, they needed it to just show that they had a BSc, right? And they didn't care the class of degree it was, and they are using it. So it's a function of where you are and what you want to do with it. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Any other
Yeah,
questions? The floor is
yeah,
open.
thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, thank you for your explanation. I wanted to ask a couple of things. You mentioned something about presenting the financial statements graphically. I don't
Yes.
think I got that. You also mentioned something about using financial statements that were prepared with the same framework. Um, I wanted you to throw some more light to that. Then I also have questions with respect to, when we're paying for our ACC exams, we have, okay, we pay through this ACC in Nigeria, and there's a way we make payments. Okay, so how are we going to make this with respect to OBU? Is there, like, is there a way we could do that? Okay, if I also see materials online and I don't have dollar, like to make payments for those materials, and I know I really need it, is there a means available? Okay, then basically that. Basically that.
I like your plenty questions. I like your plenty questions. Okay, so graphically presenting your numbers, I mean that don't copy the picture or the financial statements of an institution. You know, you put it in Excel. There's an appendix that you need to use, and then you would graphically present it. So, meaning, let's assume you are comparing three institutions and you were to look at their trade receivable days. You know, you put everything in Excel, put the revenue, put the trade debtors there and all, and then you show it in the graph and we can see the projections rather than just cycling or doing a snapshot of that portion and then pasting it in the work. So you're presenting everything in a graphical way, the growth in sales, growth in something that, you are each header. So let's, for example, you're speaking to profitability ratios. Maybe there are 5 ratios you want to examine on that there. You are presenting it in a graph. Your ROCA, your ROA, your whatever it is that you're analyzing per time, you are presenting it in a graph. I hope that answers your question. Then to the second, where he said that I mentioned comparability. It's very important, because you have the leeway of choosing institutions outside Nigeria, or you need to ensure that they are the whoever has prepared is preparing using the same accounting standard. Meaning, is it IFRS? Then you must be comparing to a company that have done IFRS. So there are companies outside Nigeria. Maybe you want to do a company in Morocco or wherever, and they have not adopted IFRS, then you'll be comparing two financial statements that are not exactly comparable. So you can't compare the US GAAP with IFRS, for example. So whatever companies you're using, it's either IFRS or GAAP. Then if you are going to be using the financial of a company that does not do IFRS, you need to also send to OBU and ask them that, okay, I have two companies that I've chosen. The two companies do not use IFRS. However, I still trust their numbers. Can I proceed? They will respond to you whether it's fine or otherwise. But then the base for comparison is same accounting standard. So that's what that answers that question. Then you asked another question on, I think if you see a resource online and you need it so well and you're not able to afford it, do we have repository of resources? Yes, there are some that we do have, and some of them we bought in time past, and of course they're expired now. So if it's something that we have access to, of course we'll share with you, provided you are with us as a school. If we do not have it, then of course you may be advised to buy or consider an alternative function. I promise you there are a lot of free resources, and we will be sharing relevant resources with you, that you can use to ensure that you have good success in these papers. So we would explore the ones that are free based first, and if there is need, then you may need to pay for anyone that is being charged for. I hope I answered all your questions. It looks to me like I left one out. Can't remember now. Uchechi. Hello. Okay. I don't know whether I
Hello?
answered all your questions. Yes, please.
Yeah, you did. You did. I also have
Okay.
one more question. Okay,
Okay.
so I actually joined the school last submission period. I did meet up, and I was told that I would have to pay some, like, a percentage. I wanted to
Deferral
know if
fee.
that still stands. Yeah.
Yes, it stands because so the reason why you didn't submit is I'm sure you know the reason, right? There are so many things that may have happened. But we have faculties, the school runs, and irrespective of whether you submit, the energy and the resource of the mentor is has been expensed, and so you need to pay compensation, and that's why you'll be advised to pay half of the fee the next submission round. So that stands. You pay deferral fees.
Right, thank you.
All right. Any other question?
Good
Okay, I
afternoon.
think
Good
okay.
afternoon.
Okay,
I
my
think there's a part of the question that you left,
Okay,
which
which is
is
that?
question.
Please
That's
help me.
payment. That payment for she asked about how,
Oh
the way
yes,
we
yes,
do normal payment,
absolutely. Thank
and
you,
how do you
Nicholas. Yes, I remember. So yes, for the OBU, you can pay through the ACCA process through Secron. You would have to pay with your domiciliary account. Your dollar account is what you used to pay. That alliance is not extended to OBU. So you need to source for the pounds, put it in your domiciliary account, and then put your card online and make the payments. Or if you also have a bank that is able, if you get receipts, I mean, you can print the receipts from the online platform where you want to pay. You could also apply for a Form A. However, it's eligible for Form A, but if that won't delay you, it's fine. However, you could just get your funds online. I mean, from the black market, since now there's even deregulation. So before there was, it was easier. You could say that, of course, someone would say that dollar to naira across the two markets is also not together again. But then typically you would just have to fund your domiciliary account, have a dollar account that you use for payments, or have someone that has dollar account, move the funds to the person, and then the person helps you pay.
Okay,
Okay,
sorry.
I have
Hello.
a question.
Okay,
Okay, you're
wait.
not
In
done.
respect to
Sorry.
that,
Can
Yeah.
you
yes.
know what? So that
Okay,
we don't. Can you raise your hands so I can then start to
okay,
call? Yes, please. Sorry, so
okay.
that
Sorry.
we can take. Yeah.
All right. So immediately after this, please. So in
Yes, after
respect of
you
that,
now.
immediately after, in respect of that payment, what if I have a friend in UK that is
Okay.
willing to pay for me? So how do I
Okay.
go about it? The person is in UK, he has the money with him, he wants to make the payment. So
So the person we
that's
use,
not
you would the person you would. It's either you log on for the person and then the person use the card is or a card for you. That's fine. Anyhow you want to do it is even better. Person is in UK can pay for you. It's easier. Just have a card. That's all you need. A card that can be debited, and
I don't
some
really
clients
understand when you say I will log on. I don't understand what you mean by what do you mean by I will log on for the person?
is on your profile that the person needs to use to pay now. So there is a submission portal. Once you're done with your submission, there's a place where you click on pay. So you then follow the prompt from there. Do you get?
Okay, so the person can access it and
Yes,
now make the payment.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. You can get on the call with the person, show the person your profile, and then okay, this if two things. Person may not want to share their card details with you. You also would not want to share the details of your online account with them. So you could have a call like this, share screen. The person puts details and all, and then payment is done, and there will be no issues. You understand?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, love it. So Deborah.
okay, no, that was
Okay.
all of it.
So I
My
wanted to ask,
question.
please, can you hear me?
Okay.
I
Yes,
my
I can hear you,
question.
Deborah.
Um, okay,
Okay,
this is
so
Deborah.
let's do Deborah,
So
then
I was asking,
we'll take Lovers after.
okay.
Go ahead, please.
Deborah, I wanted to confirm that after, when it's time for the graduation, you said we can either have it in South Africa or in the UK. I don't know if I got that right, but it's
Yes,
not
yes.
compulsory, right? Is it?
No, it's not. It's not. It's not compulsory at all.
Okay.
They would
Okay.
extend the invite to you, and if you don't want to go, it's fine.
Okay, but we are the ones to sponsor ourselves then, and that's what I'm trying to find out.
Oh yes, you sponsor yourself, but they will give you an invite. So for it makes the visa
Invite.
application easier. Yes. So you will get an invite that you just graduated from the school. Some people get concerned that would they write distant learning on my certificate or so. No, they don't do that. So you get an invite from the school for graduation, and then you use that to apply for your visa, and they would advise you the campus that is available. They could say, oh, this campus is not available. If you want to wait till the next graduation round, they will just give you the flexibility. And then you choose when, if you indeed want to graduate with them, you go to school and graduate with your set.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So love it.
Okay, my question is our case study, must it be a public limited liability company?
No, it must
Okay, it could
not
be
be. It could be a private company. Yeah.
okay, that is not well known.
Yes. However, is a function of the topic. So if the topic is asking you to, it says that you need publicly generated information, then you must use a public company, because it's only a public company that will have information available in the public's domain. But there are topics where, so I think I should just quickly flip to the topics. There are topics that, you can use companies that are private.
Okay, so if it's primary information, we could use private companies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So another thing, please, how do we know the word count? Like, how do we count our words?
Oh, okay. So as you're typing in the Word document, under it, you will see the count of your words.
Yeah,
It
that's
always
true.
shows. So
Okay.
you can guide yourself with that.
Okay. Please, I want to start my research now. So, talking about referencing the sites, how do we go about that? Like when we get information from a site, how do we reference a site?
Okay, so I think I may need to quickly show us something. Let me just get the come in. Can you see my Word document?
Yes.
Okay, so this tab is called reference. This is where you do your referencing. This tab, file, home, insert, draw, design line, and then you see reference. So this reference is where you do your referencing. So how do you reference? You go to insert citation, add new source. So you talked about websites, right? And so this is so you will see the drop down. Any type of thing you want to do, whether it's a book, whether it's a journal, whether it's an article, whether it's a conference proceeding, whether it's a report, whether it's a website. So in your instance, you want to reference a website. That website will have an author. Let's assume that the author is my humble self, Adetutu Oludare. And the name of the page is, what should we call the name of the page now? Adetutu's blog. Adetutu's blog. And the website name is www.adetutuoludare.com. Right? The year that you access the site is 2023. The month is August. The day, let's assume it was today, you went on the site. And there's a URL that you need to copy. So you copy the URL. I'll just put something. You should copy the URL here. I'll just assume that it's still adetutu.com. This is an example. Right.
Okay.
Then I'll say okay. So if you see here, It's showing me Adetutu Oludare 23 as my reference. And if I go to bibliography and I add bibliography, the details of the things that I entered will come in here. So you see, it's saying, so Oludare is my first name. It will do what you should do for you. Don't need to cram whether it's my first name that should come or my last name.
Okay.
He already told you that you assessed it on 23rd August 1st, Adetutu's blog. Everything will come in the right details. Let's assume you want to add another one. So can you see that this is already registered? I want to add a new source. This time around, let's assume it's a journal. Can you see that the drop down has changed? Let's assume that the journal is Adetutu again. And the title is Financial Literacy. The journal name is Finance, what will I call it now? Finance Economy. And the year of my journal is 2023, and you are referencing page 45. Are you following me? Then I say, okay. Now it is still Oludare 23 that will come out because that's the way it should be referenced. That's my first name. If you go to bibliography and update it, you will see something. Can you see that you now have two? The second one has come as Oludare A, Financial Literacy Economy or. So this is an adequate bibliography style. You can do reference, you can do bibliography. The two means the same thing. And once you do it, as you are adding words, you will not need to be stressing yourself as to, hey, how do I reference this thing? As you are adding a reference and you're typing, you just, when you're done, go to bibliography, click it, and everything you have done will come out. So it's a very adequate way of referencing. If I add another person whose name starts from, can you see the two that I've done is showing here? Let's assume it's a book nest. If I go to a book, the thing will change. Let's assume this person is Adams Titi. Adams. Can you see that it's very easy to reference? Now I want to say Adams Titi is a corporate author. The title of Adams Titi's book is Nigeria Way Forward. Year is 2023. Adams Titi is in United Kingdom. So all these things you will see on the document and you'll be filling it in. Let's assume that Adventure is the publisher for Adams Titi, Adventure. And you say, okay. Immediately you see Adams Titi come out, and then you go and update your bibliography. You see that Adams Titi will then come first. Anytime you update something new, you might need to delete the existing ones. So you see Adams Titi is out as on my bibliography, and I have 3 people now. So this is how you do your referencing. I hope it's clear.
Please, the date, the 2023 date, is it because we are writing the project 2023 or that was when the person? So that's
they are all assumptions. You can manage it. Let's assume that you made a mistake and you want to, oh, this thing is not correct. You can come here. The date for a book is the year of the book that has to be there.
Okay.
You get so it can be 2026 if that's the year of the book. You get, you just edit it. This one too, but for website, it is the day you access the website that you should write there. Do you understand? Okay. For the website, it is the day you access the website that you will have here. So you can edit to suit your purpose, and then, okay, once you have done, you close it. It will update. Then you just need to refresh. Once you refresh, everything updates. You can see that it's actually pretty easy to use.
Yes, can I ask a question, please?
Please go ahead.
Okay, now, is it that for every time we go to a site to get an information, then, we can't copy those information directly into our watch. maybe we'll rephrase it and all that things like that. So is it immediately after you rephrase that, you are going to show that this thing was from so source in that word before we go down to the bibliography, or we can just continue writing, then we'll now come to the bibliographic side and be pasting our source like that. So that's the aspect I don't really understand. But I've seen some projects where they write it in the body. After the statement, they will just put the source, then they'll still reference it down. But so that's aspect I don't really understand why they do that and why they don't do that.
Okay, so I want to use this thing that I typed here. There's a limit to growth in Nigeria. In Nigeria, because of Japa. I'm just typing now. Okay, so let's assume that this is what I wanted to say and it's not my words, right? And I go to insert and say, this is the person that said it. I can say Adam City said, Nigerians are limited in growth because of, I'll still reference Adam City. I can say it this way and put Adam City as the last word. So it's a function of whether you are rephrasing or you are paraphrasing or what. So if I wanted it to be as this, I'll just say, if I wanted it to be in the middle, I'll say Adam's Titi said. Remember, there's a font too. Then I'll put inverted comma like this. Let's assume that I'm copying a word directly, and I'll still say that it is Adam Titis that copied it. And at the end of the day, this is in the in-text. This is in the middle. At the end of the day, my biography, I'll still have Adam Titi there. So it's a function of what you're writing, how you want to write it, and how best you believe it can be presented. Do you get me?
Because
are you there?
Yes, I guess because yes, I understand. That means our words, everything will be filled with John, Titi, Adams, this, that's because it is actually believed that we don't actually have any words of our own in recent times. Most of the project, they believe that must have taken it from somewhere. So
you can have words of your own, right? And that's why you need to sit down and understand the concept you're writing.
They just believe that no, somewhere.
You can have words of your own, but as long as you know that something that you have written is not you that wrote it yourself, please reference it.
Okay.
Very, very important. So any other question?
What about the ones from the websites? So is there a way we see indicates in the middle of the word?
Yes, it will be Oludare A. When I finish the one for the website here, so let me go forward. It's in the reference that it will show that it's website, right? This thing of blog is website, but it will still come as Oludare A. But in my full list of reference, they will know that this is a website. And see, this thing shows here. And anybody that wants to see the details of the source, they can see it from here. That's why you do this. So in your in-text word, if anybody goes to your reference and clicks it, and they go to edit source, they can see exactly where you got that word from. That's the essence of a reference. And that's what, and this is the Harvard style, right? Reference. It's what is called a PA here. So they are different, or you can change it to Harvard Igla, because it's the Harvard style we're writing. So that's it. There are different writing styles. Your school says it should be Harvard, so you pick Harvard Igla. And so everything, you start to reference from the beginning. It's very, very important. So when you carry your cursor off it is not obvious, right? But once you put your cursor on it, you see it, there will be something gray. And then if you click on it, you now see a drop down. Same here. So that's how you reference. And so in your text, when it's written, even though you'll be seeing names, doesn't look funny. It looks very good.
Okay.
Very important. So
So,
Ola,
so,
okay.
so immediately after writing this, I will now click on the reference in this style. Then
Yeah,
I'll input
you
those things
see
I
this
put so to
bibliography that I
stay
have put
to stay.
here. This bibliography
Mm,
that I have put here is not needed until the end. I'm just showing you. Is as you are referencing, if you do it right, it's already there. All you need to do is just click it when you are done. So if you do that thing, when you want to do it, you come into the source and keep saving everything. You'll be seeing everything you have saved. So these three, they're already saved in the system. And when you are done totally, you now click it. It will arrange it for you alphabetically, which is the format that Oxford Brookes require. So all you need to do is, as you're doing it, ensure you come to your reference and you're inciting the citation, adding new source, and you're determining whatever it is, if it's an article, if it's a journal, if it's a recording, if it's an act, just keep putting it there. When you're done, your reference will be done for you already. You just come into bibliography and click it, you see the list of your reference. So that's how to ensure that you are optimal in the use of Word documents to do referencing. I hope it's clear.
okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Love it. And Olakpe.
Yes. Yes, it's
Okay.
clear. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Olakpe.
Okay, hi, good morning. Sorry. I needed to confirm some things. One, I'm not sure if I heard how much Ivy will be charging for the mentorship program. And would that entail them feeding? I know there's a part that the mentor is supposed to fill or give a report or something
To
about
sign up.
the, sorry?
To sign
The
off. The mentor is supposed to sign off. Yeah.
Yes, we are supposed to look for a mentor. So I'm assuming that if I'm in Ivy program, they are going to give me a mentor, which is what you're doing right now, son, and do that part for all in terms of representing us as a mentor. Then are we also going to do like an analysis in this report? What do I mean? So if I'm using secondary data, would I have to do like a regression and all those analytical using statistics package to do my analysis to get the results? Or is just something that's okay, I can just use graphical representations, or I just have to do discussions of findings? I'm not sure that area was touched when we were talking about the chapters or the sessions, the parts of the reports that we had to do.
Okay.
And then why must we complete the ethical, that EPS stuff before we do this program? I
Why?
just want to know the condition. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your question. I'll start from the latter. The why I don't know. It's the school that has recommended it, and your ethics model just opens your heart and your mind to the real life environment. What ethical considerations you meet on your way. As you journey as a finance professional. So I believe that that's the reason why they want you to do it before you do the project. I can't answer the question 100% why they chose to have it. It's a standard from the school. It's not an Ivy League thing. So, but yeah, what comes to mind readily would be that they want you to be able to, examine what the what will I call it now, the critical conditions, all those things that happen in real life scenario, and they want you to be able to demonstrate that you have quickly looked at it and you're able to tell what you want to do in line with what ACCA would like you to do. So that's the reason why that is compulsory. Your second question as to whether you need to do graphical presentation. I mean, whether you need to do any analytical tool. So you don't have to do regressions and all that if you're doing topics that you're comparing. You're using quantitative data. So in your quantitative data, your ratio analysis suffices. you do ratios and you do business review, and you'll be fine. However, if you're analyzing qualitative data, you're doing something related to human resources, something related to adequacy of internal controls and all that, where you would not readily find quantitative data to analyze your work, then you will need to use some regression tools just to be able to establish correlation. So if you're looking at impact of motivation on performance of a particular organization, there's nothing you can do. You can't, even if you were to review their salaries, if they were that liberal with you and they gave you salaries, there's just a lot that you can do with that. You need to then, gather your questionnaire, then start to use your analytical tools of maybe R, maybe SPSS, and all those statistical tools, to then establish relationship and correlation. Then is when you will need those tools. Otherwise, if you're just analyzing financial statements, reviewing performance, whether someone has done badly or poorly, whether a corporate governance report is working or something, those analysis suffices. I hope that answers your question. Then, yes, importantly, you asked about the fee in Ivy League. Manager, are you on the call? Hi, manager.
I'm still on the call, ma'am.
Okay, manager, please help us. What is our OBU fees?
75,000 naira.
Okay, so I don't give discounts on this call without knowing. So yes, so it's 75,000 naira that we do our mentoring in Ivy League. So if you would like to be a part of the school, please feel free to reach out to the manager of the school, and who is ably represented on this call. And with a token of 75,000 naira, you become our mentee. I hope that works. And I should say that despite the increase in dollar rate and all, we have kept that rate constant. Manager, am I correct?
So
Hello, manager.
70.
It was the man said it was 70 before.
Increase with 5,000.
So there's a 5,000. That's almost not noticeable.
Okay. Fair.
But yeah, that's the small value we charge.
Okay, thank you. So my final question is, we're talking about this theoretical framework and all, and I know you mentioned something about not using the pictures or something directly from the source. If you have to use a model or something to explain your work, are you not going to copy that diagram or that model from the site and just reference it?
Hello, please, can you hear me? Sorry, I think I just ran off the call mistakenly. Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you hear my
Yes,
question?
No, I didn't. Please, if you could take it again. I didn't hear your question.
Okay, I said thank you for your response. I have one final one. Relating to theories, models, business models that you're talking about. You mentioned something about if you are doing business analysis, it's not just financial ratios and all that figures that we're going to use to do our analysis. Is both financial and non-financial. So if you are going to use like a model, like business model or theoretical framework to explain your research, are we not going to just copy that model from the site and just reference it? You're saying that we should not just copy directly, we should put in an Excel. But there are some things that's for financial statement, but for things like models, frameworks, and all that, can't we just copy it and paste it?
Hello, can you hear me? No, you can't just copy and paste for models. So what you're supposed to do is, models are supposed to assist you in answering your questions. For example, you want to analyze financial performance of an organization over a particular period. I have chosen to use Pestel, for example. Your decision to use Pestel is what you're then saying is that you're analyzing the political environment of that institution. So if you are analyzing the political environment and all, you don't need to copy that model. I don't know whether you're getting me. You don't need to then copy the model. All you need to do is analyze the political environment of that institution using that model. Do you get? So what is in the political environment of that institution, you speak to it. What is in the economic environment of that institution, you speak to it. If you were to use Potter's five forces, the same thing. If you were to use Henry Misbert's theory for human resources, what are the requirements under those model? And how does it relate to your company? So you're not copying anything. It's just the name that will be similar. And that's why your similarity index, they allow up to 6% because they know. So Potter's five forces, it is what it is. If they see Potter's five forces in your work, it will be seen as similar to another person. But it is an error. There's nothing you can do about it. So that's why there's that plus minus 6% margin, right? But you're not just copying the requirement. You are supposed to read Potter's five forces, read those things, and be able to say that this is how it affects this institution. The political environment of this institution, this is how it affects it. So I don't know whether you get it. So you're not copying that model and putting it in your work. You are using the requirements of the model to analyze your business.
Okay,
Is that
thank you.
clear? Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Any other question? It's been nice and having chats with everyone. It's so interesting. Priska, I see your hands are up.
Yes, good afternoon.
Adetunji,
Thank you very much.
good afternoon.
Okay, please, my question is, okay, so if you're writing a project now, in terms of the theoretical aspect that you have to go to different sources to gather information. Probably you go to websites, you read books, and then you write your project based on your understanding. Do you have to start referencing each of these sources you engaged with?
Yes. You have to reference any source that, or are you referring to if it is internal source?
No, what I'm
Priska?
saying,
Okay.
yes, sir. What I'm saying is, for instance, now you want to just write more like a narrative, a story about not like the theoretical aspect now, and you get information from the website, from books, and all of that, and then you write it based on your understanding. It's not like you are copying and pasting. Just you get
Yes.
some information from here, you get from here, and then you write your project based on that. You have to start referencing each of these sources.
Yes. Because when you are paraphrasing, it's still not your own work. So I understand the dilemma you might be in right now
Because
to then
thing
say,
is,
is it not
at
every
the
word that
you might not really have any original idea on your own. So for you to formulate something, you might have to read through different sources.
Yes, and that's the work you need to do. You should have ideas on your own. For example, your chapter one should be 100% your idea. If you're going to be referring to the work of another person, it's fine. Where you have bulk of another person's idea, that's the most in your project topic, okay, my video is even help. Where you have um, reference to another person's work the most is in your chapter two, where you be analyzing and telling us theoretical framework, what does it mean to do best sale and all. That thing is never yours, right? So you will have to reference the work of others. Of course, your opening paragraph will be yours. Some things that you would say will be yours, but then definition of pestle is what it is. Disadvantage and advantages of pestle, you didn't say it, right? Your introductory paragraphs will be yours and all. Then when you get to your chapter three is you as well. You're analyzing what you have seen. Then if there is need that you need to reference someone, then it's fine. Just ensure that anything that is not you that wrote it directly or that said it directly, you will reference it appropriately. That's what you need to do. And don't forget that when you're also done with your project, you will run it through ITCate. ITCate will tell, in fact, you will see it yourself. If you have done a good job gathering your data and referencing as the period went, you will know. If you have done a bad job, you will know, because you can't run your etiquette and then you have 35% and you want to go and submit. That's failure already. So on that day when you're running your project through the software, if you don't see less than 5% plagiarism, you can't submit. So rather than, and it's always headache for a lot of people. Just imagine you have 3 chances. Some people are just breathing. Don't stress yourself that much. There was one lady that we had gone through this process together, and we gave this, we told everybody, please do. When she got to the day when we're doing ITK, the way she had done everything, her first run on the process, on the ITK project, she had less than 6%. First run. Why do you think that she was better than every other person in that room that day? I think no, her first one was 8%, and she just had to do just little amendments. She had taken into consideration referencing the work of others, writing appropriately. And some people, our first one, when they do the first one on their project, now when we were pretty much smaller and we used to sit together in a hall, we used to review everybody's one by one like this. We don't have that luxury of time any longer. Some people, their first one is 35%. And maybe submission is tomorrow. They're already discomposed. Sometimes if you're not careful in rewarding it, you then lose the meaning of what you're trying to do. So you want to be sure that when you get to that process, even if you will have work to do, at least even if it's 10%, you know that, hey, you tried. Because there's no how. Even with your rightly recognizing some things you will have said is your own word, it will still flag it. And you would have to ensure that that report, so you will not have issues. At least 6% similarity index is what I always recommend. Sometimes I close my eye to 7% because there is no time. But if you have more than 7% etiquette reference, I would not even advise you to submit. Just imagine having done all the work for 3 months, and just because your work looks similar to others, you can submit. If etiquette can show you 7, Turnitin will show you 13. So that's why we always advocate this from the start. Priska, I don't know if it's clear.
Yes, very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Is there someone I'm missing?
Yeah.
Yes, you're missing
Another
Okay.
for the
I
reference
wanted to.
limit. Is there any age
Okay, let's
limit
take.
for the reference?
Okay. Is that what?
Age limit, like you can't use this book because it was written 20 years ago, things like that.
Okay. It is an unwritten limit, right? Because it's expected that the things that you are referring to are recent. So typically, you shouldn't be referring in this day now, you should be referring to something that was written in 2000, right? Except it's a general concept. So like Potter's 5 forces is a general concept that nobody can change. But if you're referencing from a website or you're referencing an article, the likelihood that a 2000 article is already old and stale is already there. So for an article, it has to be recent, at least maybe in the past 2 years. Nigeria itself is a very complex environment where things are changing. So what happened even yesterday, Seth, what happened last week is not what is happening now. So you can't be referring to an article that is stale. So an article, a website, and all that, you don't need to refer to something that's stale. So you need to, it's unwritten, but in fact, if you even read very clearly, they will tell you once the article is not recent, then don't bother. So article, website page, books, and stuff like that, except for general concepts, Potter's 5 forces, definition of economies, demand, and all those ones. It is what it is. Someone is not saying it recently. But for journals, for articles, you need to ensure that you are referencing a current article, at least 2 to 3 years old.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you. So Priska, I believe you are our last, the last question will be
I
taken
think I'm
today.
the one.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, most of my question has been answered. The only two left
Okay.
is Olape. I think it's Olape that asked the question that the mentoring in Ivy League, will it cover for OBU mentorship requirements? The
Yes,
question
it
was
will.
not answered. Okay. Okay.
Yes, it will.
And
We will sign up for you as your mentor because we're registered mentors.
okay. And my
It
second
will.
question is, does OBU also charge? Do we have to pay project fee?
Yes, is I showed it on the slide, £470.
Sorry, I missed that part. All right, thank you.
Yes, £470.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So I believe that we can draw the curtain now. I've put up the submission fee again for people that may have missed it. It was nice having conversation with everyone on this call today. Thanks for your rapt attention. We look forward to receiving you in the OBU faculty and helping you to achieve good success in your rap. I want you to please remember that the offering of OBU is rounding up, and by May 2026, you would be unable to obtain BSc accounting again using the ACCA route. It was nice having a conversation with all of you today. Do have a very beautiful rest of day. Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Please, can we have access to
Thank
the
you.
recording of
Thank
this
you too.
section?
Yes, it's
Thank
very
you.
important. The recording.
Okay. I know that the manager recorded it, and I see his response in the room that it will be shared. So it's fine. We will share.
Oh, all
Yes,
right.
we'll share
Oh,
to register the participant.
okay. Then
Okay.
then for someone that registered for ACC that started in 2013, did you think the person is still eligible?
2013 is
2013,
still
right?
eligible. It's still eligible. This is the 10th year.
Right.
But what you
right.
can do to save yourself, just write student at ACCA Global an email so that they give you that confirmation. But yes, you're still eligible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Then for the group that you say you are going to create for
Yes, so
the
that will be for
mentee.
people that have paid. So we would create